Have you ever experienced any prejudices against you as a white, being in Hong Kong, being in mainland China?
Have I ever experienced racism in this country? Never. In this city? Never. And in China? Never. In the earlier days, fascination, we could go back 30 years when you went into China, it was like, wow, you're white, okay? Did you forget to get off the plane, or you're off the plane in the wrong city kind of thing? Whereas now, you go anywhere in China and you are just accepted as being either on business or a tourist. So I can honestly say I have never experienced any form of racism from anyone in Asia. Again, I'm privileged because I'm white male. I think we're meant to be the minority now. I'm not quite sure how the world works anymore. But again, if you're nice to people, they're generally nice to you. I try not to go through life with an attitude of seeing people as subservient to me. And I think that's important as well. Asians are not subservient to the West. The average 20-year-old Hong Konger is trilingual. They will speak Cantonese, Putonghua, and English.
Putonghua is
Mandarin. They will speak Mandarin.
Yeah.
And when it comes to job availability, if you've got a 50-year-old white guy who's lost his job and they're kind of looking for a job and they speak one language and they want a club membership and a debenture for their kids at school and as opposed to, and the cost of that, you can hire 4 locals who are hungry for their future as opposed to an expectation of what they're entitled to. So I think, as I've said repeatedly, Hong Kong is a place where you still have to work. And I think that's true of any place. Anyone who wants to be successful, you have to work hard. And I have friends here who are, come from very privileged backgrounds and don't need to work, but they work. They work incredibly hard because they want to. In one case, she is very proud of Hong Kong and she speaks on the international stage for the future of Hong Kong and its role within China and the future of China.
What's the way to understand or start understanding modern contemporary art if you're not into it? What would be the way to start this journey?
That's a good question. The way to understand anything is appreciation. So again, I could stand somebody here and they could look at these 5 paintings and think, okay, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that. Oh, but I really like this.
Okay. So listen to yourself.
Listen to yourself. And, beauty is obviously in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
So with an artist, this artist, this is a much more established artist. So Wang Zheyin is in his 70s, I believe. And the brushwork is very different. So this is acrylic. But he tells a story, and the more you look at this painting, the more you see in it, the more you can see his brushstrokes and the color. And he's using a lot of dark color here. It speaks to you, it is evocative. When we do an exhibition, as a gallerist, we have to take it quite seriously because it's not just about hanging art on walls and people coming in and say, yeah, that's nice, and leaving. Artists, when they have an exhibition, they do it for 2 reasons. One, because they want to show their art, but secondly, because they have to sell their art because it's a commercial business. Yeah. And artists have a right to eat as well. And I take it quite seriously, and I think 3812 has a reputation of being, but a friend of mine said recently, she said, I'm amazed at what you guys have achieved over the years because you're Hong Kong's only truly international gallery with Hong Kong and London. And she said, you can stand proud with all of the big guys. And we're proud of that. And we're proud of that because we represent artists who are all or mostly Chinese. And we're telling that story to a world that is at times quite critical of China. So
yeah.
The painting here, Lu Guofu, so he works with very fine brushstrokes and he mixes oil with water. And he's kind of developed this unique style. And on these paintings, he paints and then he allows it to dry. And in his words, he then obliterates it. And he builds up dozens of layers to create this it's very thin, but it's very deep. And if you look at that, you think about calligraphy, which is an integral part of Chinese traditional painting. Yeah. You can begin to see brushstrokes in the works that he is doing here. And in all these pieces, there is brushstroke. And that's an integral part of Chinese traditional painting, but also has been brought into Chinese contemporary painting. Yeah. Even though it may not be obvious, it is there. So the elements of traditional Chinese painting, san shui, have been followed by all artists, even into the contemporary arena. And it's an important part because they're honoring their heritage, but they're saying, I can present it in a new way. And people connect to it because it's exciting. That is the power of Hong Kong. We can touch other parts of the world very easily. And in doing so, we touch other people and we touch other collectors, and they come here to see what Hong Kong is doing. Because we are not always following the rest of the world. We are still setting trends. And in the art market, Hong Kong remains a constant in a market that, like all markets, it has its ups and downs. Is the art market as strong as it was 5 years ago? Yeah, no, but again, it's cyclical. Has it died? No, it hasn't. Collectors who live here are still part of the market, and international collectors come here every year to support the Hong Kong market. And because we have something to say and obviously something to sell. As politics divides, culture unites. And I firmly believe that our role in telling the story of Hong Kong and Chinese culture remains important.
Yeah.
This is an ink painting. So this is a painting. So this is on Chinese Xuan paper. It is beautiful if you look at the detailing in that. So here you have a man in his 70s who was actually one of Hong Kong's most successful architects. And his name is Raymond Fung. And we started showing his works both here in Hong Kong and overseas. And people connected with it immediately. So we have collectors of him in Switzerland, in England, in the Middle East, in the United States, obviously here in Hong Kong and in China. He is a man who people come in. I've seen people just stop in front of his art and just look at it because it is so beautiful.
So for you, it's home and you don't want to move out. So you think in the future, you'll be here.
Am I to be buried here? Is that what you're asking me? Yes. What a nice guy. Yeah, I think, if I'm in London, I'm happy in London for the weeks and the time that I spend there. I spend a lot of time in Switzerland, and I love being in Switzerland. When my brother was alive, he lived in Switzerland, and in the summer I'd play golf, and in the winter I would ski. I still do all of that, okay? But yes, Hong Kong is home, and I will grow old here, and when time comes to put me in a tin box, pretty much I'm sure it'll be here. I know the director of Hong Kong Funeral Homes. He's a very good friend of mine, and I bumped into him in London recently, and I said, every year I'm getting closer to that appointment. And he's like, yes, but have you paid?